Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video I have a very exciting one to share with you all because today launches some new Kiki London water decals. So obviously we've had a couple of different decal launches and these are the latest ones and I'm really loving these. They are quite perfect for the end of summer and autumn and just some trending now designs. Now at the time of recording this I didn't know the official names for each water decal sheet, but they will be listed on the Kiki London website, which I've left linked in the description box below. So first up we have that pretty floral and leaf one, and then we have this one which kind of has all their classic tattoo designs. It has a little bit of a 90s vibe to this one. I like these, I think they're quite fun and it's quite a lot of individual unique designs there as well. And then we have these really nice fruity ones. So these are full of lemons. And I love that these include some leaves and greenery as well because it makes them look a lot more realistic in designs. And up close I was just showing you the detail is amazing on these. Here we have some Pride designs. I know that Pride month has very recently passed, but I think things like this are perfect for all year round because of course we don't just celebrate Pride during Pride month, it's something that is celebrated all year round. So I'm glad we have some of them. Then these have quite a tropical vibe to them. These are the only sheet that I don't use in this video as I have saved these to do a separate design that I have in mind, but all of the other ones I am showing you I'm going to put in some designs hopefully to give you some ideas and some inspiration. This particular sheet is my favorite. I love this style of nail art and I feel this one you'll get use out of all year round. And then lastly, we have some more fruity ones. This time we have some oranges. Again, I love that they include the greenery and I love the style of them as well. Instead of looking quite animated or cutesy, they have that more realistic vibe to them, which I really love for doing those kind of nail designs. So as you can see there, we have 7 new water decal designs. So do check them out on the website. Like I said, it is linked in the description box below. And then now we're going to jump in and do some designs. Also, don't forget to comment below and let me know which ones are your favourite. So I wanted to do a design using each of the sheets. So first up, we're going to use those floral leaves, the black and white ones or the black ones, and I'm going to start off by doing these on a base of vintage white. So I very recently added vintage white to my collection and I feel like it's a really lovely colour for the end of summer going into autumn. If you're looking for something a little bit more, not like a bright white or a creamy white, it's kind of like a nudie white. And I really love it. It's a perfect colour base for the water decals as well. The water decals do pop over a lighter base a little bit more, especially the black ones I find. So this is a really nice off-white base for your water decals. So I've done 2 coats of this, curing each coat for 30 seconds. And then before I add my water decals, I want to do a little bit of nail art on this one. So we're going to come in with Soldier Gel and I'm also using my Kiki London nail art palette. These palettes do come in a couple of different colours, but I personally do love the white the most, especially when I'm doing videos as well. So I think it looks quite nice in the background. So I'm adding a little bit of Soldier Gel to the palette and then I'm going to take my stripe liner brush. And then now I've got my cured colour, I'm going to load up my stripe liner brush and I wanted to do a bit of an abstract design on this one. They are one of my favourite designs to do and I feel like these line art florals or leaves work really good with the abstract designs. So I'm coming in with the Soldier Gel and we're just going to paint on some random shapes around the nail. But what I'm bearing in mind is that I want to keep a lot of the centre free from any nail art. So when I was planning out this design, I'm thinking about where I'm placing my gel polish colours and then I'm also wanting to add some foils. So I'm going to be thinking about where I'm adding those foils. Because I'm adding on the water decal last in the design, I want to make sure that I leave space for that water decal to pop. So I'm making sure that I'm sort of thinking, you know, the water decal is going in the centre of the nail for this particular design. So let's work around that. If you wasn't wanting to do it this way, you could of course place your water decal down first and then do the rest of your nail art around that, but I prefer it to do this way around. So like I said, just coming in with that Soldier Gel, not creating too perfect shapes, just sort of creating on some wavy shapes basically. It's quite simple and easy to do. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm going to cure that for 30 seconds. And then, as I said, I want to add some foils, so I'm going to take a layer of the Kiki London foil gel and just apply a thin coat of this to all of the nail. And then the foil gel requires a 30-second cure if you are using the Kiki London LED lamp. And then once I have cured that, or sorry, whilst that's curing, I thought I'd show you guys the foils I'm going to be using. So this is a box 2, and I'm going to be taking this kind of matte gold. I really love this one for doing layered nail art designs. And I'm just going to tap that very gently on to the tacky foil gel. As you can see, I'm trying to make sure that it overlaps a little bit of that soldier gel and overlaps a little bit of the vintage white, but is predominantly leaving that center clear for our decal. So once I was happy with the foil application, I'm going to take my water decals and I'm going to choose an image, and I'm going to cut this image out as close to the image as possible. So as you can see, I'm getting as close as I can. I'm using stalk scissors here as I find these easiest for cutting out the water decals. And I'm just trying to get rid of a lot of that excess white paper, as that's going to be that clear transparent backing paper when you're adding it to the nail. So the more of that you can cut away, the better. And then for majority of my decal application in this video, I'm going to be using the stamper method. So I have a jelly style stamper, my water, and the Kiki London Silicone Tool. And as well as that, I've got my Kiki London angle nail art brush, as I use this a lot of the time for adding the water to my decals. So I've got that water decal already cut out. I'm going to place it face down onto that jelly stamper. I'm going to give it a good press so it sticks down where I'm placing it. And then taking my angle nail art brush and the room temperature water, I'm just moistening the back of that water decal. And as you can see, the backing paper slides off effortlessly. I find it takes around 10 seconds for that to slide off. And then you're able to stamp that down effectively. So looking through your stamper, you can get a really good placement. And I find applying the water decals, the stamper method, I get hardly any creases or bubbles. So I just ever so slightly even over the water decal using silicone tool just to make sure it has adhered nicely to the nail. Now to finish off all of my water decal designs, sorry I'm struggling to get my words out today, to finish off all my water decal designs, I like to use the No White rubber top coat. Because it's the rubber top coat, it's a little bit thicker, so I find it adds that extra layer of strength to your nail art, and as you can see, it has an amazing shine. The rubber top coat does require a 60-second cure. So moving on to the second design, I'm going to start off with Rubber Base 01. Now if you've watched the channel, you know that I really love this milky white. I love it for creating milky glitter designs especially. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply one coat of this, and whilst it's still wet, I'm going to tap on some glitters, so I'm not popping that in to cure. And then I've chose a multi-cut iridescent glitter. I didn't want anything too bright, and to apply that glitter I'm going to be using the new Kiki London fan brush. I am loving this for applying glitters into gel polish, because as you can see, it picks up a perfect amount of glitter. When you're applying glitter into gel polish, you really don't want to apply loads because it's going to end up making your nail look bulky. This picks up an ever so slightly small amount of glitter that just seems perfect for easy application. So I've tapped that down into that wet layer of a rubber base coat, and as you can see, it sinks down nicely because the rubber base coat is a little bit thicker. And then I'm going to pop that in for a 60-second cure, just because I've applied the glitter in there, and I want to make sure that your light is going to be able to penetrate through the glitter and cure everything. Then I'm going to come in over the top again with another layer of the rubber base, but I'm keeping this really thin over that glitter. I don't want to fully cover it up, but I want to be able to make it have that milky hidden look, if that makes sense. So I'm keeping it quite thin over the glitter and then just spreading it around the rest of the nail. Then I'm going to pop that in for a 30-second cure, and on this design we're going to use both the oranges and the lemons. So I have both of those here, and I opted to use the images that come with the leaves already attached because it's nice and simple for the design that I'm going to do. So again, cutting those out as close to the image as possible. It doesn't matter if you leave a thin line around your image, just to get everything laying nice and smoothly and looking flush to the nail. The closer you cut to the image, the better. So I cut both a lemon and an orange out, and because I'm applying 2 decals to one nail, I like to do them both at the same time effectively. So I pop them both down onto my jelly stamp stamper, but I make sure that I pop them far enough away that they're both not going to stick down at the same time. And then I just remove the backing paper on one. And as you can see, I'm applying it exactly the same as I did before. I wanted this to semi-overlap that glitter, so you just see a little bit of the glitter peeking through and around that water decal. And then I take the backing paper off the second image and stamp that down. And I loved how these two looked. The milky white background was really nice because it wasn't too in your face and too bright, so it didn't draw the attention away from the water decals. And then just that hint of glitter underneath really added something extra. Sometimes I used to find when I very first started off in nails that when it comes to water decals, I used to just paint a nail and pop a water decal down, which is absolutely fine. The water decals are enough nail art on their own, but I do love adding other little elements in with them because I think it just takes the water decals to another level. Adding that little bit of sparkle to it just adds a little something extra. Same with things like foils and stamping as well. So on to the third design, I'm going to take the gorgeous Sweetheart. So on this design, I wanted to use those tattoo 90s looking designs, and I felt as though Sweetheart was the perfect pink for a base for those because it's just a really kind of bright pink and it's got that UV lilac-y purple effect to it as well, so it just in my mind worked for the 90s vibe that I was going for with this design. So same as always, I'm doing 2 coats of my gel polish and curing those for 30 seconds. Now if you was obviously doing these designs on yourself or a client, you would want to make sure that you are always doing all of your prep and your base coat before you come in with your colour coats. I'm just working on a press-on nail tip, so that's why I've skipped the base coat step. And then starting off on this design, I'm going to take the gorgeous ruby red. So I was looking at the water decals that I was going to use for this design, and they both had a little bit of red and black in them, so I decided I would use both of those colours just for a hint of nail art. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a cuticle cuff with the ruby red. Again, using the trusty stripe liner brush. I use this brush so much because I love how effortless it makes things like this. Now this is a little bit easier to do on a press-on nail tip compared to a natural nail, but as long as you clean up before curing, you are able to do this really easy around the cuticle area. Just take your time and allow the brush to do a lot of the work for you, which is exactly what I'm doing here. And it leaves such a crisp, nice line. And then for my black, rather than opting for a pure black, I decided to go for Mystic Noir because it has that little bit of sparkle to it, and I really don't reach for this colour enough. Now what I wanted to do here is I was going to do a French tip, but I thought I wanted to not draw too much attention away from the water decals. So rather than doing a full-on French tip, I'm kind of doing the same as what I've done with the cuticle cuff and just doing an ever so thin French tip. So I'm just coming along at the very tip of the nail. Now this might have been easier to do with the French brush, but I think that might have gave me a bit too much depth, so I opted to use the stripe liner brush as I literally just wanted to have a very thin line around the edge of the nail. I did round it off a little bit so it didn't have that point. Then I'm going to cure both of those colours for 30 seconds, and here I have those, I'm going to say, tattoo inspired designs. As I said, all of the correct names for the sheets will be up on the Kiki London website. Just at the time of recording, I didn't have those. So again, because I'm adding 2 images, I pop them straight down away from each other on my stamper. I find this just speeds up the process. I've even done it with more than 2. So if I'm doing a full set of nails and I know I'm going to be doing a decal on each nail, I'll pop a couple down, and as long as you leave the backing paper on and have them far enough away from each other, for effort and for speed, you can fly through and just add them. It makes water decal application really easy doing it this jelly stamper method. The final design, I do show you the more traditional water decal application just in case you haven't got a jelly stamper to hand. So here again, I'm just taking my silicone tool, making sure to smooth any creases or any bubbles out. Like I said, I do find with the jelly stamper method, you don't get too many bubbles or creases, but always make sure that you do smooth any creases or bubbles out. If the water decal's not lying flat, once you top coat, you can't really do anything about it. So on to this design, I have already done 2 coats of coconut, so I have a nice bright white base to work on, and I wanted to use those pride decals for this one. So I decided to use the love because I liked that one the most. I like that it's got the pride heart there as the O. I think it's really, really cutesy, and I think it represents pride really nicely. So I'm going to pop this down and add my water to the backing sheet. As you can see, with using the angled brush, I find because it's a little bit stiffer, it really helps get the water into that backing paper and bring it off quickly. Now for this particular design, I wanted to have the water decal slightly off center to the left hand side, as I'm going to do a marble going around it. So I'm just placing that down, and then it wasn't 100% where I wanted it to be, so you do have a little bit of leeway to move that decal a tiny bit because it does stick down quite well. So I'm just doing that with my silicone tool and straightening it up a little bit. And then, like I said, I want to have a marble going around this design. So I'm taking all of the colours that are in the pride flag and popping them down on my palette. So we started off with Wildfire, then I've got my lava for the orange. Then we're going to go in with Glowstick. Of course, there are other colours you could use, but I just picked out the ones that I thought represented the colour best. The Neon collection has some brilliant colours for this, so I did use a couple of the colours that are from the Neon collection as well. Then I forgot here to show you guys, but we're going to be using Ivy Forest for the green. I think a slightly brighter green would have worked for this, but for some reason I reached for Ivy Forest. And if you are liking pride designs, or if you're looking for any pride inspo, I did do a set of pride nails up on the channel, so that's a few videos back. If you scroll through, you should find that. It was a really fun set of nails to do. So for the blue, I went for Neon Prince, and then for the purple, I went for Black Cherry. I'm really loving Black Cherry at the moment, and I can't wait to go into more autumn designs to get a lot more use out of these darker colours, as I have really missed them during the summer. Then to create the marble effect, I'm going to take the dotting tool end of the Kiki London dotting and gem tool and just marble through them. I wanted quite a messy marble because a lot of the focus of the design is on the water decal. Now before applying that marble to the nail, I'm going to pop down a really thin layer of base coat, and this is going to kind of work like a blooming gel. So I'm not applying it to the entire nail, I'm just applying it to that sweep down the right hand side of the nail, because that's mainly where I want my marble to go. And then I'm just going to pick up sections of the colours. I want to make sure that I get all of those colours in there. I did lose a little bit of the green, the other colours kind of overtook it a little bit more than I wanted it to, but then as you can see, that's kind of blooming and separating and creating that gorgeous smoky design. So I left that for a few seconds before popping it into cure until I was happy with the effect. You don't want to leave it for too long though, as it may spread over your water decal, and obviously I didn't want to lose that image. And then lastly, we're going to come in again with the No White Rubber top coat and top coat. And then I will pop that in to cure for 60 seconds, and we shall move on to the next design. I think this is the last one as well. So this is the one where I'm going to show you guys another way to apply those water decals. So I have already done 2 coats of Tailor Made, and I went for these gorgeous ones. I love that the flowers in these are a little bit larger as well, because when you are doing a lot of longer nails, or if you're doing gel polish designs over acrylic, the larger designs are brilliant for longer nails, so it's good to see some of those as well. So for the more traditional method of water decal application, you're going to cut out your water decals exactly the same as before, cutting them as close to the image as possible, and then you're going to soak them in the room temperature water. So you're going to pop them straight down into the water, and I like to leave it for around 10-15 seconds, and then you can pick your image up with your tweezers, and then you will see that the water decal slides effortlessly off the backing paper. So here I'm just making sure I've got out any creases. Spend a little bit more time getting the creases out when I use this method, but I do love that the water decals slide effortlessly off the backing paper. And one of the pros of doing the water decals this way, I find you're able to move them around a little bit more. So if you place it down and you're not 100% happy with how it's placed, you're able to move it more. Whereas with the stamper method, I find once I press down with that stamper, because it's pressed the water decal down, it's a bit more tricky to pick it up and move it. Here though, I did have a little bit of trouble. My decal sort of folded in on itself, so I had to faff around to get it flat again. And this particular one here, it was a little bit, the way I wanted it placed meant that it come off the nail a little bit. So I'm just going to flatten down and press down the part of the decal that I want to keep on the nail, and then I'm just going to trim that excess off using the stalk scissors. And I would also, if I was doing this on a client, would just run around that edge with a little bit of acetone just to make sure I'm able to fully top coat in that water decal, but I didn't need to do that because we're working on a press-on nail. And then finally I'm going to come in and apply a thin coat of that rubber top coat because it gives us that high shine, and I just find the rubber top coat best over any kind of nail art just because it adds in that extra layer of strength and stops any peeling or chipping of the nail designs. So that was the 5 designs I come up with using 6 of the water decal sheets. So as I said, there are 1 sheet left which I will be doing in a design very, very soon, so do keep an eye out for that. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. If you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a thumbs up and leave us a comment below, and don't forget to check out the website to see the new water decals. I really look forward to seeing all the designs that you guys create with them, so don't forget to tag Kiki London on Instagram as well. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.